Annie Lou Leibovitz, known as Annie Leibovitz, was born in Waterbury, Connecticut, and is the third of 6 children. She attended the San Francisco Art Institute, where she studied painting and then continued to develop her photography skills for several years. Most notably, Leibovitz worked in Amir, Israel for several months in 1969. Upon returning to the United States in 1970, she began her career as a staff photographer working for Rolling Stone magazine. 3 years later, she was named chief photographer of Rolling Stone, a position she would hold for 10 years. Leibovitz has photographed almost every celebrated personality you can think of. For example, in 1971 and 1972, she was the concert tour photographer for the Rolling Stones Tour of the Americas. Soon after, she photographed John Lennon and Yoko Ono for the cover of Rolling Stone. This well-known photo is of a naked John Lennon curled up hugging his wife Yoko Ono on the floor. The 80s were not known to be a particularly romantic time, but this photo captures a romance unlike many others. This photo is incredibly strong, and Lennon was recorded saying, "You've captured our relationship exactly. Promise me it will be on the cover." Leibovitz and Lennon shook on it. He was shot and killed 5 hours later, which made the photo even more famous. After working for Rolling Stone, Leibovitz began working as a chief photographer for Vanity Fair. This gave her the opportunity to work with a wider array of subjects and allowed her to photograph more celebrities. Some of the most notable people she has photographed are Bette Midler, Demi Moore, Fleetwood Mac, Whoopi Goldberg, David Cassidy, Queen Elizabeth II, Cyndi Lauper, Bruce Springsteen, Miley Cyrus, Lance Armstrong, and most recently Caitlyn Jenner. Here are a few photos that specifically shaped Leibovitz's career. This photo was taken on President Nixon's last day in office. Leibovitz was on the scene at the White House the day he resigned in 1974. She said all the other photographers had put their cameras down at that point, but she was looking to capture the moments before or after the moment. This shows her love and appreciation for her subject matter. Such a big moment in history needed to be documented appropriately, and she did so very tastefully. To me, this photo shows how in the moment she was, and how as the helicopter is flying away and the men are in the middle of rolling up a carpet. The photo shoot that takes Annie Leibovitz on a new perspective was the Bette Midler photo shoot for Rolling Stone's magazine for her movie called The Roses. That photo gave her the revelation for large-scale photography, for which she found the joy in setting up scenes to expand her vision. That style influenced her future work greatly. The massive setups became a part of her obsession. Here are some examples of her massive setups. It is evident here how much effort she put into the sets behind the person she is photographing. Leibovitz said some of her most important work was a series of photographs she took of her partner Susan Sontag. She said Sontag had extremely high expectations for the photos, which Leibovitz found frustrating. "I had this idealistic idea of what Susan could imagine her portrait to be, but I found her to have an attitude of wanting to look good. That was heartbreaking to me. I thought she'd want to be strong-looking, but she didn't want to be that. That happens when you know people very well. You know how they want to see themselves, and it can be very difficult. I think it is important to note that she was so into her subject matter that she saw something not even Sontag saw in herself." Most portrait photographers today came from a background of fashion photography, and she is one of the few of her generation that came from a background of journalism and applied the principle of journalism to her portrait photography. Annie Leibovitz has had a profound impact on the world of photography, most specifically fashion photography, and will continue to as long as she continues to deeply care about the subject she is photographing.